What's up, YouTube Gen X? Okay. I got a concerned PM from an older woman who is worried about her younger brother. Now, the younger brother is in a good relationship with the good woman, but the older sister has her doubts because that woman doesn't have a career. She has a good paying job, but not a career. And they work in terms of the relationship simply because they both have good jobs, right? Her brother is making decent money, but not great money. But when you combine that with her good job, they work well. He has a career. She doesn't. She has a good job. And the older sister is trying to get the brother to understand you have to be careful, but he's not hearing her. So she wanted to know my take on it. And I can completely understand where you're coming from as the older sister. I have a friend um, that is going through the same situation right now, but he's married to the girl and they have a wife. Now they work because he has a career, and she has a good job. So they work. They were lucky enough to have a good house. Dad had an investment property that he sold to the son. I don't know how they worked it out, right? But it's a great deal. So they work well now. They're comfortable. They're chilling. He has a good career. He's not making great money, but he's doing okay once you combine that with the fact that she has a good paying job. But now he's worried. Why? Well, the wife, mind you, who already has a child, is telling him that she no longer wants to work anymore and she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. Now my boy is tripping because he's doing well, but not to the point where she can be a stay-at-home mom and have children, right? Because stay-at-home moms want to have multiple kids, right? So now he's like, oh man. And he didn't tell me this, but he's my boy, okay? And we go back, when you have a friend and they're trying to voice a concern that they have, but they don't want to tell you, you have to read between the lines. I did that, and I know that he's kind of struggling with it because we've been talking about career stuff and him possibly going back to school, and he's asking me about, hey, how's teaching like? Should I get into that? And I told him a long time ago that he should think along those lines. Um, but obviously, I'm not going to come through and say I told you so. That's not the type of person I am. But in my head, I'm like, I told you so, right? Um, now, once again, you have to understand a job and a career. Your career is going to be made up of different jobs, but a career is a part of who you are, right? It's like it's your calling. Mine is in education, so my career is in the educational field. So in that field, I'm going to hold different jobs. I'm going to hold different positions, right, within that career, but that's part of me, right? I don't want to leave that. Even when I retire, I'm still going to be part of education because that is who I am. Just like somebody, I guess, who played pro ball, right? And when they're done, what do? They coach, or they have their team, or they work for a sports center, or they, work for the media in terms of broadcasting different games, or they may have some sort of marketing company or some sort of agency or whatnot. Like, it's who they are. They can never leave it, right? That's a career. A job without a career is very dangerous because people don't like to work. It's a boring job. You work in your 9 to 5. You're not connected to what you're doing. It's just a job. We've all had that, right? Where it's nothing more than just a job. I go in and do what I have to do. And you hate your job, but you keep working your job because you're in your career and that this job can lead to a better one, or it can lead to you working for yourself or doing something at a different capacity. So that it eases the pain of having your boring job, even if you're making good money, right? As men, it doesn't matter, right? Whether we have a career or just a good paying job, we know that we always have to work. So we can get through the whole I have no career, but I hate my job, but I'm a man, so I have to work. I have to do what I have to do. I have to get up every day, put on my hard hat, and do what I have to do. There's a lot of men that have jobs that they hate. They don't have a career, but it pays well, and they're men, so they stick with it, right? That's why I'm big on people finding a career. Because when you find a career, it doesn't make work that bad. You find it to be enjoyable. When you're in a career, it's more so a labor of love and not just labor. But a job without a career is just a labor. And you don't love it, so if you didn't have to do it, you wouldn't do it. Right? If you became a millionaire, you wouldn't be doing it. But if you were in a career and let's say you hit the lottery, you're still going to be working in that field in terms of doing something. Let me win $1 million. I'm still in education. I'm doing more stuff though. Right? I'm donating money here, opening up a business there or whatnot, but I'm still in education because once again, that's part of who I am. But like I said, as men, it doesn't matter because you're supposed to work. Now, for women, on the other hand, here's the difference, right? A woman who has a career obviously is going to want to, have kids and do the whole wifey, right, aspect of life. But she's also going to want to be part of that career because, once again, that's part of who she is. Whether she's going back to working full-time or part-time or maybe she's consulting, she wants to be in education. I have one professor who, she had a whole bunch of kids, but her passion was education, so what she ended up doing was opening up her own daycare / homeschool because that was who she was. She couldn't stay away from it. And so now that her kids are grown, now she's a professor. She's a part-time professor. She didn't want to leave it because it was part of who she was, right? But when a woman has a good job, and let's say she hates her job and she does not have a career, well, she's not a man. She doesn't have to deal with it. You can't come through and tell her, listen, you just have to deal with it. No, she's going to say, I don't like my job. Guess what? I want to be a full-time mommy. I don't want to work. Why should I work? I want to be a full-time mom. I want to be a stay-at-home, right? Which will eventually happen. Because once again, a job is a job. It's not a labor of love. It's just a labor. And she knows she can do the whole mother route. In terms of, well, I don't like my job and we're having kids, so how come I can't be the stay-at-home mommy? How come he can't work? Men are supposed to provide, whether he has a career or not. Let me be a stay-at-home because I really dislike what I do. And you run into that problem where she's considering, not trying to work anymore, let me have another kid. Lo and behold, she gets pregnant. I can guarantee you with my own friend, they already have a child, but I can bet you within 6 months they're going to have another child because she really wants to be a stay-at-home because she doesn't like her job, even though they work because her job combined with his career makes good money. So in regards to the PM that I got, I understand where you're coming from as an older sister, and hopefully your brother's listening to this video. There will come a point in time where she's not going to be in love with her job anymore because she doesn't have a career. And when she holds that baby in her hand, or a couple of babies in her hand, and she's like, I don't like my job and I have children, what's going to happen? She's going to say, honey, I want to be a full-time mom. So now the burden's going to go back upon you because she didn't have a career. See, if she had a career, she's going to want to be in that career in some capacity, right? And for me, it's better to have a wife that at least wants to work part-time than a wife that doesn't want to work at all, right? I know a handful. God, I know so many teachers that are part-time because they have children, a lot of children, but they can't stay away from it because that's their passion. It's their career. I even know a couple who are lawyers, but they don't have to do as much, considering that they have children and they want to do the whole mother jump off as well, but it's their career, so they're bringing something to the table. So it's not that big of a burden on the husband. But when she doesn't have a career, you're always going to have to face the fact that there could be one conversation where it's like, honey, I don't want to work anymore. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. We have kids now. I don't want my kids to not have a mother. And she'll put you on a guilt trip. Oh, I don't want my kids to be in daycare 24/7. Or I don't want my kids exposed to the bullshit. So she'll give you a compelling argument to why she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. And what are you going to do? Tell her you have to stay at your piss poor job even though you're making good money but you don't like it and you're not emotionally or intellectually connected to that job? No, it's not going to work. It's not going to fly. Even if you try to make her understand that financially we work because you have that job. She doesn't love it. She's not attached to it. It's not a part of who she is. So for men across the board, y'all have to understand that you have to find a chick that has some sort of career and a chick that knows how to balance between home life and work life, right? This is where I get annoyed with a lot of black women because they want to act as if you can't do both. Bullshit. My mom did both, and all of my aunts did both. So I know all the older black women that I know were women that had careers and they were able to do the wifey mother sort of role. So it can happen. And for me, as a man, in terms of a man trying to look out for other men, you have to think along those lines. You have to protect yourself financially as well. If you're going to work yourself to the grave, do so at least not under the whole guise of, well, my wife doesn't work. You know what I mean? If I'm going to work 12 hours a day, you best believe I'm doing it because it's going to lead me to something bigger and better. I'm trying to, figure out how to get some shit together or whatnot. I'm not going to be busting my ass working because my wife doesn't want to work. Because my wife wants to be a stay-at-home mom and my kids go to school 8 hours out of the day. Come home, play outside, do homework, and go to sleep. Right? And she does nothing but sit at home and watch TV and maybe clean. And talk about how I need to help out more around the house. I'm not going to do all that. Those days are long and gone. When women were bitching and complaining about gender roles and, how we have to rethink the modern woman, this is what happened. For me, that's fine and dandy. That makes my life easier. So I don't have to worry about the whole idea of having to work 3 or 4 jobs because the wife is a stay-at-home. No. I work for my children to provide for them a nice lifestyle and to help out just in case, we fall on hard times. But the wife is definitely going to be working. She's going to have a career. She's going to be pulling in money. It's as simple as that. I don't believe in the whole women being housewives. I told y'all that. Even if I was a multi-million-dollar man, my wife would be like Michelle Obama. She would be traveling the country, speaking to different children, making sure kids are eating healthy. She wouldn't be sitting at home doing nothing. I don't believe in all that. Women fought, complained, and cried, even though they didn't shed blood, as so many men have said before, to have the whole right to work out and be like a man. So you're going to hold that end of the bargain. I'm not going to die early because I have to work because you don't want to work. You know what I mean? I'd rather get shot in the head by some random person than die early because I just died of stress. Or me lose connection with my family because I have to work too damn much because she doesn't want to work. No, it's not going to happen anymore. So you have to understand that a good paying job, you can't necessarily bank off of that. It's one thing to get into a relationship with a woman that tells you from day one, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. So you're like, can I make this work? Okay, that's one area. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But to get into a relationship with a woman who has a good paying job and no career, but part of why you're choosing her is because she has that sort of, I'm making my own money as well, and I'm bringing that to the pot, I'm adding that to what you're doing, is very dangerous because, once again, there's no career. How do you know she loves what she does? Right? She will walk away from it. Like we all know, we all have bad days. Trust me. But when you're in your career and that's who you are and you're passionate about it, you stick with it. You don't want to leave it because you feel like you're losing a part of who you are. But if I have no career and it's just a good job, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to leave. But once again, men, we can't leave, but women can. Let me be a mother. Right? Even now, you got women, apart from women that made a poor choice, you have women that will purposely go out, get pregnant, and have multiple kids so that they can hide behind motherhood. Even if they don't have a husband or that sort of father figure in terms of I'm taking care of the children. They don't care. Like we've seen before, they will rely on the state to help them because they don't want to go out and work a job. They don't want to have a job. Right? They don't want to have a job. That's why a lot of the times they try to tell lower income people or whatnot, hey, you need to find a career. Find a career because it makes working easier. But for a lot of them, they don't want to. You know, even how I grew up, there were a couple of women that went off and had children because they didn't want to face the whole fact of having to be an adult and go out into the world and have a job that you may not like. They didn't want to have to deal with all that, so they said, shit, let me get knocked up and let me be this full-time mom. So when somebody tells me, hey, you don't have a job, what can you say? Well, I'm a mother. I'm a mother and I can't have a job. Right? So, you know, it is what it is. I know I went long on this video, but this is the shit that really matters. A lot of the other shit that we talk about, a lot of it is secondary, but there's a lot of important shit that we don't get to, and I'll admit that I don't spend enough time addressing, but this is highly important. Right? Especially if you're a man of a certain age. You have to understand that you can't be content with the fact that she has a good job. You have to have more than that. And like I said, I'm watching a friend, a very dear, close friend of mine, a brother. He's not black, but he's a brother to me nevertheless. You know, we've been through fights together. You know, we've been through so much together, right? To see him going through what he's going through now as a friend, it's very painful. Because he was so happy, he was content, he was doing what he had to do, she had her good job, but he didn't pick up on the fact that she never had a career. All she had was a good paying job. And now all of a sudden, she hates her job, she has a child, and it's like, I want to be a mom. And he was never prepared to think about, man, I'm going to be the only provider. Now, had he come into the relationship knowing that, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, he could have proceeded differently and stepped his game up, or maybe even said, I don't think you're right for me, right? You know, considering that what I want to do with my life, but he didn't do all that. It's like he signed somebody and he didn't he didn't have a guaranteed contract, right? You know, so he's making plans on something that wasn't guaranteed. Like I said, had she had a career, she would want to work. Maybe not full-time, but part-time. She would want to do something to fit in, right? Like I said before, you know, I even have another example. Shit, one lady I knew was a principal. Had some kids. One of the kids had a complication to the point where she had to stay at home. But because she loved education so much, she stayed consulting, right? She had a daycare. Like, she did a lot because she couldn't stay away from education. She couldn't stay away from it. So she was constantly at least bringing something to the table because that was her career. That was her passion. So once again, I know I said a lot, but, you know, this is the shit that men have to understand, right? I get so upset with black women because I don't like the whole idea of, oh, we can only do one thing. You know, we can only be a mom, or we can only be a professional. You can do both, right? You can manage to do both. So that's my vid. Y'all take it easy. God bless.